Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mindset Shifts and the What Ifs, my every Tuesday show where I talk about all the things that make us worry and wonder and think about our careers and our lives, how they are, how they could be, what might happen if something goes wrong, what might happen if something goes right, and how scary all of those options are. I hope you're all doing well. And I hope my video is working okay today. I'm like a little bit choppy on my end, and I'm not quite sure if that's translating to you. Come say hello in the chat if you're joining me tonight. I am live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, and soon to be Instagram. Also, there's a apparently an add-in that I can do for future lives. So I'm going to be looking into that as well. If you've never met me before and you're just coming across me for the first time randomly at this live, hello, I'm Lauren Lefkowitz, and I'm an executive coach. And I believe that fine is a trap. Fine is the thing that we say we are when we're like really not fine and things haven't been fine for quite some time, but we've settled into this place where we think we're supposed to be happy with what we've got and where we've worked ourselves to. And instead we just think like, this is it. This is where I am. This is where I end up. And then we start counting the years and days and months until retirement. And that is not how we live, my friends. So if you are a professional in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 10, 15, 20, 30 years into your career, no age limit and no experience limit. Yes, thank you, Tanya. Fine is a trap. Thanks for your buy-in to that. Then I'm for you. Whether I'm for you because you come to my lives, whether I'm for you because you come into my posts, or you actually are looking for an executive coach and here I popped into your world, welcome. I'm glad to have you. So if you don't know how this particular live works, I come on every Tuesday at 7:05 p.m. Eastern and spin a wheel, and we all get to see what the topic is going to be tonight. They're all things related to your career, related to who you are as a professional. And so let's give the wheel a spin and see what our topic is for tonight. Here we go. Amazing. All right. And let's give her a spin. Ooh, so good. Okay, why we are not our own best coaches. That is our topic for tonight. And it's a great topic for a couple of reasons. One, it's a good explainer topic. I love talking about this topic. And two, it's going to make you kind of mad. So sorry in advance, and also you're welcome. If I'm talking to you, if you're watching me, it's likely that you are a high achiever. It's likely that you are the person in your company, in your friend group, in your family, who people come to for things. My special skill is being a founding member of the How Hard Could It Be Club, where if there's a hole in a company, I've been able to fill it. If there's a situation nobody's ever come across before, I've either already come across it or like I know enough how to address it, fix it, come into it. And so I got invited to a lot of meetings. I got asked for my advice. I actually became a coach originally just because like I was good at asking questions and knowing some things. And so I became a coach long before I became officially a coach, by just helping people with stuff. And when you are the person who gets asked for help all the time, and you're the person who calms everybody down, when they're like, oh my God, we've never had this before. We don't know what to do. How do we handle this? Lauren will know, or Tanya will know, or Jen will know. If you're that person who people come to, and you're that person who people say, like, let's make sure that person is in the room because they're going to know what to do, or they're going to help us figure it out, or they're going to be able to resolve this argument we're having about something. You start to think that you should know everything about everything because you've always been able to figure things out for other people. So you decide that you don't want to hire a coach, because if you hire a coach, then it means you don't know something. And because you're the person who is the person who figures things out for other people, this is part martyr and part like a little bit of a God complex, not really in a like ego, high ego way, but more in a low ego way. You think that you must be in a place where things are as good as they can get. Because if you can figure out everybody else's stuff, you should be able to figure out your own stuff. So the martyr part is the poor me. This is the best it gets for me. I will just help other people find success. And who did that for years and years and years and years? Me. I did. I coached people on the side while I had my corporate career, and I worked 80 to 100 hours a week, and I helped everybody with everything. And at one point, I also had a pro bono gig with a nonprofit where I was working upwards of 30 hours a week for them, in addition to my 60, 70 hours a week at my job. Worked pro bono for another nonprofit where I also got like swooped in. And all the while, I'm helping all of these people and organizations be the best they can be, solve their problems, be successful. And my thought was, if I can't do this for me, it must not be doable for me. And that, my friends, is that combination of martyr and sort of God complex. It wasn't that I thought I was better than everyone. In fact, it was the opposite. It was that I thought that I must not be fixable. Like I'm a hopeless case of workaholic and people pleaser, and other people can get out of their stuff with my help. But because I'm the person who helps with that stuff, I can't, there's not going to be like a level beyond me who can figure me out. That is wrong. But it's also why we are not good at being our own coaches or our own mentors, because we know what we know. We have the capacity to learn. Anybody has the capacity to shift from a fixed, this is how things are mindset to a growth mindset of, but I can learn, things could be different. What might I want? What are the possibilities? And instead, when we try to be our own coach, we are set in our own limitations. Part of the value of going to somebody else, whether it's a coach, whether it's a friend, whether it's a partner, part of the value of doing that is getting a different perspective, is having someone ask you the questions that you're either not willing to ask yourself because you don't want to answer them, or you don't even know to ask yourself because you've already assumed an answer, right? I can think of countless times with my own coach or when I was coaching a client where a question has been asked and the client, whether I'm the client or whether my client's the client, goes, I've never thought about that. And the person that you're working with, the coach that you're working with, just has to be one question cleverer than you've been with yourself. When we're trying to coach ourselves, we can do all the book reading. We can do all the exercise. We can pull a values exercise. We can pull a what do I want exercise. We can pull journaling prompts. And I think there is tons of value in journaling, especially if you have prompts from somewhere, whether it's a book, whether it's a journal that comes with prompts, whether you follow a journaling coach. Amanda Stern's my favorite. If you want to follow somebody who's an amazing journaler and journaling coach. And, we need somebody other than us to be asking us the us questions because we're already set in our limitations. And so when I was working 80 plus hours a week and I was hiring my first coach, I didn't even know I was hiring my first coach. I called somebody who had gotten their coaching certification, which at that point I had not yet done, to ask about the logistics of a coaching certification, how much time and how much money and all of that kind of stuff. And while talking to her, I said, as though it were fact, I don't know how I'm going to fit this. I really want to do it, but I don't know how I'm going to fit it in because I already work 80 plus hours a week and that's not going to change. Because in my mind, that was a fixed fact that the job that I was in was an 80-hour plus a week job. It wasn't going to change. And that I was the type of person who took on jobs that required 60 or 80 hours a week. And therefore other things didn't fit into my life. So I said 80 hours a week, and that's not going to change. And that coach said to me, if you say so, which is a line I have used before and since with my clients, with my friends. Like, yeah, if you've decided that that's the truth, it is absolutely the truth. And there's no judgment in that. It's just like, yeah, we decide what our truths are. And then we get to decide, like, are those hard and fast facts, or are those decisions we've made or limitations we've put on ourselves? Is it the circumstance? Is it us? In my case, it was me. I was carrying me with me to jobs and not making any changes and continuing to work absolutely bonkers hours. Well, then I hired her as my coach because it suddenly clicked with me that I was not meant to solve all of my own problems. And that as a high achiever, as a people pleaser, as the problem solver, as the person invited into the meetings that I didn't even belong in because they weren't anywhere in my lane, but I was good at mediating. I was good at finding solutions. I was good at solving problems. I was good at settling arguments. I was good at moving agendas forward. I was good at looking at the big picture and the little picture. I'm still really good at all of those things. But now I choose what rooms I go into. I don't just go into a room because I was invited. And I think when we are achievers, we get invited into a room and we're like, they invited me. I'm in. I'm wanted in this space. My work, my ideas, my manner is valued in this room. And then we get invited into more rooms and it's still cool. And then we hit this point where it's no longer cool. We no longer want it. We want out. We want nothing more than to be out of those rooms. And we don't know how. And we feel like we've already committed to all of these things. And this is just who we are. So of course we can't be our own coach because we figured out how to do all of the things for all of the people except for us. We have decided there is no time or space for our own development unless it's serving the company. I went for all the certifications I needed while I was at work. I did all of the continuing education I needed. I learned about things I needed to learn about, new laws, new regulations. I attended the webinars to serve the companies that I was working with. But it never occurred to me that I fit into my own life as well and that I could actually come first until I started working with a coach who started asking me the questions that I either didn't think of myself or that I wasn't willing to answer by myself with myself and get down to like my core fears about who I am if I say no to things, about who I am if I'm not always pleasing, about who I am if I'm not always the best one, the one achieving the most, the one doing the most things. Well, then who am I if I'm serving me? And working with a coach led me to launching my business, to being willing to say out loud, I don't want to work this many hours. And also, I don't want to look lazy for not working this many hours. I don't want to continue my HR career for the rest of my career And also, I don't know what else I can do. And all the while, coaching on this, right? So I was coaching and I was very busy not thinking that that could be a career, deciding that I couldn't make money doing that, deciding that that wasn't a full-time gig, deciding that I had already committed X amount of years to the HR career and to back out of it now would be giving up, until I worked with a coach and until I was able to like really dig in to how I people please, how I achieve, who I am without always being a people pleaser, what value I have by just like existing in the world and doing what I do and being who I be. And all of that is really scary discovery. And it's hard to ask yourself those questions, and it's hard to sit with yourself and answer those questions. So working with a coach, instead of working with you as your own coach and continuing to do everything by yourself, which is, you know, the MO of the achiever is I'll take care of it. I can do it. It'll be faster if I do it myself. I can handle this. No, one more thing's no problem. I've got it all. That's our curse as achievers. The beauty of being an achiever is when you do turn it around on yourself and you do start asking the questions or being asked the questions that you are willing and able to ask other people, being able to have somebody else help you see the blind spots where you've just blocked things out, or you have unilaterally said no, or you have unilaterally said, yes, this is just how things are. Being able to have somebody who can call you out without judgment, in full support of you, in full support of your personal and professional development, is incredibly powerful. For me, I went from 80 to 100 hours a week down to 40 hours a week over a period of time. Nothing's overnight. And if it is overnight, it's a shock to your system. It doesn't work. It doesn't last. It doesn't feel good at all. So you've got to work through your stuff gradually and figure out what you want gradually. I always start with my clients with, what don't you want? Right? Which is a question that's hard to ask yourself, because we always come in with the buts. Well, I don't want to work 80 hours a week, but I do. And this is the job. And that's how it is. End of story. End of exploration. So working with a coach helped me get from 80 hours to 40 hours, where I got to realize about down to the 60-hour mark that I actually did really want to coach full time, and I just didn't know how to do it. And there is nothing scarier for a high achiever than not knowing how to do something and not being able to figure it out right away. That for me is like the scariest thing in my life, to have to say, I don't know, and I don't want to start from the beginning. And also I've hired coaches who are used to working with that, and I'm used to working with that. So you know, when you're in the room with somebody who really can help you sort that slowly and intentionally, it can be really, really empowering. With my clients, their lives have changed in ways like internal moves inside the organizations that they were sure they were going to have to leave, but realized that they were in the wrong job in the right company. I've had a couple of clients who've moved internally. I've had a couple of clients who've had full transformations where they're in a completely different career because it was 10% of their job and it was the only part of the job that they liked. So they learned how to highlight that. They learned how to look for that job at a higher level somewhere else. I've had other clients who have gone from one career to another career. I've had clients who've gone out on their own entrepreneurial journey. And I'm industry agnostic. I know there are some coaches who focus on, you know, just one practice area or just one industry. I've worked with everything from HR to pharmaceuticals to tech to television to operations, you name it. I've worked in almost every industry, either as an employee or as a consultant, or as a coach. So if you're in a position now where you're thinking about feeling stuck, feeling like this is just how it is, and I just better suck it up until I retire and deal with this, or you're in a position where you've been a director for X amount of years and you're looking around and the vice presidents around you and the SVPs are starting to be your peer age, and you're not sure why you feel like you've gotten stuck in a spot and you're too scared to go for the VP positions, or you're not speaking about yourself well enough to go for the VP positions, or you're not able to recognize your own achievements, or you already work 60 plus hours a week and you think like, I don't want to be a VP. I don't want to work more than I already work. That's when it's time to start thinking about getting a coach. And there are a bunch of different kinds of coaches, and this is, story for another day. But there are coaches who focus specifically on career, like job changes, right? And they'll do your resume and your cover letter. They'll do advice on how to interview. I would argue it's not quite coaching because it's a lot more instructional, and coaching is more about drawing the you out of you. And then there's the more executive coaching, which is what I do, which does sometimes lead into some of the interview training and job search training and that sort of thing. I don't do resumes, but I know resume people, and I know great ones, and I can refer people out. But an executive coach helps you with the grander picture of your career. Where do you need boundaries? Where do you need to develop leadership skills? What are you delegating, and what do you wish you could be delegating? What's holding you back from going for the bigger positions? What's holding you back from deciding what you want and going after that, right? So it's like the search before the search is executive coaching. And sometimes the search to stay where you are is in executive coaching, right? To do what you're already doing and have better boundaries about it. I have worked with clients who end up not leaving their jobs because they're finding the balance that they want in their current job. They're finding the way to have boundaries, the way to say no, the way to say to their bosses, I want to be in this room. When this thing is happening, I want to be there. So let's get me invited to those, instead of just sort of sulking because we're not invited into the room. If you have questions about any of this, I want you to know you can come to me. You can send me a DM, you can comment, you can go to my website, and everything's in my LinkedIn that you can check out to get in touch with me. Get in touch with me anyway. I am not a hard pitch salesperson. I will never reach out and cold message you that I think you need a coach. Very firmly that you want a coach, you have to decide that you want a coach. And you have to decide that you're willing to invest in a coach. And you have to decide you're ready to step out of your own way and allow somebody to come in and support you, and that you're ready to actually receive that help. That's super important. You don't have to know how to receive that help. You just have to be ready and willing to receive that help. On that note, I'm going to end for tonight. Thank you so much for being here. I look forward to hearing from you again, seeing you in my audience, and seeing you next Tuesday at 7:05 p.m. Eastern, where we will have another episode of Mindset Shifts and the What Ifs. Have a great night, everybody.